Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And wanted to review a different kind of like an oldies creature feature movie. And and I would say it's part of the old Godzilla movies, but it's one that does not feature Godzilla. And actually, really enough, it was released in 1956. So technically, reviewing this for its 60th anniversary, I should say. Which I did not know. Which that was not intentional. I did not know it was released in for. Well, I did though, but I forgot that it was. So yeah, 1956, and reviewing the 1956 giant monster film, Rodan. Now Rodan. Now this is the English. Now this is the English version. Doesn't have like the original Japanese version, which I like to get like one day. Like I have Godzilla movies though, but I like to. Some of them have the original Japanese. Most of them I don't. But I like to get like the whole collection of where it has all the Japanese versions because the English dubbing on most of these I don't care for. But it's nice to hear in the how the what the original Japanese versions are. But beside all that, though, take what you get, and also, but I just wanted to review something for one of the Godzilla franchise, and one day I like to review all the Godzilla movies. Love Godzilla ever since growing up, so, but figure we'll review this one because this is one that does not feature Godzilla. It's about Rodan, which the character of Rodan is one of Godzilla's allies to help fight with other giant monsters. But in this version of Rodan, how it opens up, which it opens up with a narration with the main character, which that's one thing I don't care for the narration. Because it shows like this a prologue where it shows about the nuclear tests, with the radiation, how eventually it makes the giant creatures big and stuff like that. I didn't need to see that. I just wanted to get more into the story. But I like how where where for a good part of the movie, the location is settled in a small town and where there's a mine. And I thought it was pretty a nice little location because it kind of reminds me of Stephen King's Graveyard Shift, where there was a monster in there with these underground. Well, it's not a mine though, but it's more of the business though. But the underground caves and mines and stuff like that kind of gives me the feel of like Stephen King's Graveyard Shift, in sort of a way. So, but in this though, there's some miners, including with our lead, um, with the guy's name is Shigeru, which I've seen this guy in a few other Godzilla films. Um, they're there's a part where they go further down. It's a bit flooded, and they're looking for two missing miners. They find one of them who is dead, and they have this I guess have a gash in the head, but and think that it's because they're thinking that the person who is missing could have done that, so they suspect that it's him, a guy named Guru, and so they have to try to find him, and that missing guy who has a sister, which the sister likes our main character, Shiguru. And while it's going on, two other miners and a police officer, they go down there, they enter the flooded mines, and they get attacked. One guy gets dragged down, so there's a one police officer. One guy managed to get out of the water, but he's trying to call, but you see a shadow of a creature, and it fades to black. You hear the guy screaming, and then they finally find those bodies, and it's the same thing. They suspect that if it's the guy who is missing, and our lead guy, Shigeru, pronounce the name because it's a Japanese name. Shigeru tries to at the house, tries to give her some comfort because she doesn't believe that her brother could have done this stuff. And while that up pops this giant insect. This giant insect starts attacking them, and the authorities start shooting at it. Bullets don't do anything, and they chase up to this mountaintop where it kills one police officer, and it goes back down to the mine. There's 2 more dead, and then they sent for the army. They bring in machine guns. As they enter the mine, they find it. They start shooting at it. Doesn't do any good. And the lead guy, I like the idea that where he goes and takes the mining carts and just rams it right into the insect, killing it. But there's also another insect that attacks them. They start firing. It doesn't do any good. But then there's an earthquake. There's a cave in. The rocks crush that insect, but it separates our lead guy from the other people. And the people on the other side, they try to find a way to get him out. And as they go outside on the one cliff where the earthquake is happening, trying to figure out what's the cause of all this. And they find Shigeru out there, traumatized, and he temporarily loses his memory. He has no idea where he is or where he's at. And while that's going on, what was it? People are starting there's these jets. There's these fighter jets that's flying around because they're picking up something of an unidentified something that's flying in the air. It's unidentifiable to them, and I like that. I do like the fact that you don't see Rodan, because you see it from very far away, very faint, but you see them create these white streaks. You know how an airplane or a jet flies through the air, at least behind these white streaks. You see that though, so I like the idea that you don't see Rodan yet, but from very far away, how it creates these things, these white streaks, and it shows that it's very fast, and it does all these maneuvers, and it takes out this one plane, and more planes are sent, and then these shows that it's very fast, and it's messing all these planes up, takes them out. I guess when it flies very fast, it takes it's like supersonic, or it's just very fast. And it also shows that there's this newly married couple who wants to take pictures, and then they get taken by. Well, they said they disappeared though, but in case that they have been taken by Rodan, they get the camera from them, develop the film, and they capture looks like a wing. Because at first, before that, they said that there's rumors of this mysterious aircraft. They indicating it's like a UFO, but it's not. And they come to a conclusion that it's like a pterodactyl, and they at least know that they find out it is a pterodactyl, because the guy, our lead, Shigeru, he, like, the girl that he likes, shows him some bird's eggs, and one is hatching, and one part of his memory starts to return because what happened to him down there in that mine, in the cave. He remembers the part where is in this one part, and he sees the giant insects, but let alone he sees a much bigger thing, which is a giant egg, and it hatches to this hatchling of Rodan, and it starts eating the insects, and that terrifies him, and that instantly regains his memory, and he tells everybody that's what he saw, a giant pterodactyl, which is, they call it Rodan, was an extinct, along with the insects, they were all extinct all these millions of years ago, and they try to figure out how these things could have survived for so long. He said they were buried underneath with like all the eruptions, like the testings, and then all the movement of the earth and the hot water and stuff loose in the soil that brought them up to close to the surface and awoken them. And like they see the Rodan come out of the ground, and as it flies through the air, like it sends this one car flying, and that gets smashed to bits. Okay, now I do get one nitpick though, because it shows there was like one egg though, and it's supposed to be like Rodan, the one Rodan. But then I will say though there is a second one though that just kind of popped out of nowhere, because it shows this one Rodan that flies up, then all of a sudden up from the ground, all of a sudden another one pops out of the blue. I'm fine. It doesn't quite as bother me though. It doesn't quite bother me though. But this is the point that one is causing some trouble here, but all of a sudden out pops another one, which they say it's like it's made or something like that though. But I think it would be fine if it was like focusing with just one Rodan, but having another one just all of a sudden pop out of the ground like out of nowhere. It's a nitpick though, but at the same time, it's tolerable, because I don't think it's not that very terrible. To me, it is. So, but these two, they're flying around. They're like, one messes up more planes, and one is just blowing away. You know how it's like supersonic speed, and the wind it creates. It destroys all these buildings and vehicles, which is good model work of the buildings, little miniatures of vehicles being blown around, and destruction of the cities. Because back then they didn't use CG. There was no CG of like buildings being destroyed or a monster flying around. So, and yes, I do. There are points where you do see the cables that, when Rodan is flying, you do see the cables that holds it up. I mean, yeah, you could say they could have digitally taken those out though, but it's just old. It resembles like the old creature feature monsters, that those old films that. It's a sort of feel from those old movies, those old monster movies. You can see those type of equipment, though. But yeah, people can say, "Oh, they could have just digitally taken them out," though. But to me, though, yeah, I can understand that part, though. But I can tolerate, because hey, it's an old monster movie. I guess that back then they could have just not think about that, though. But with the work that they did. It's practical, it's all real miniatures and models being destroyed. Whether it's, it's a model work of the monster or a person in a suit. So I can tolerate all that. So that seeing the cable, I can let that go, because it's a minor thing, but people can easily see, oh, I see those. I can see those cables. Yeah. But it's tolerable, though, for me, though. And then the tanks come in, they start shooting at it, doesn't do anything. And the lead scientist guy, which I know I've seen him in a couple of other Godzilla movies. The lead scientist guy, who is his professor, who comes up with these plans how to get rid of them. I know I've seen this guy I've seen him in other Godzilla movies, but one in particular that is one of my favorites, and that is Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, or Ebra, the giant lobster. He was one of the bad. He was like the lead bad guy, and he was like who led the Red Babu army. You can see he wore the eye patch. That guy who plays the lead bad guy in Godzilla vs. Sea Monster, he's the lead scientist in this movie, so I recognize him. He didn't have an eye patch in this movie though, but he had one in the other one. So they come up with a plan to because they're hibernating underground because like they're like reptiles, so they can hide underground to hibernate. So they plan to launch more missiles to cave them in to bury them alive. Which they plan to do, and by the same time when they cause all that stuff, it causes the volcano to erupt and some lava starts spewing out, and it's going to destroy that small town. So they evacuate everybody, and the lava starts flowing, and one Rodan is caught. Is unable to fully get out though, so it falls down right into the lava, and the other Rodan it doesn't want to save itself, so it sacrifices its own life, so they both die together because it doesn't want to leave its mate behind, so it just goes and commits suicide, so they both die together in the lava. And of course it ends with the narrator of our lead character talking about this incident, and then the film ends. So yeah, it is not there's not much to go about because it's an old monster movie. So that's why this review is not going to be that quite long. But it's another good monster movie, a classic old of the giant monsters genre like Godzilla, and it's I would say Rodan is for one that is about Rodan. Well, because some of them's like it's a slow build up to Rodan because it's mostly focusing on these giant insects. But it was a slow build up to Rodan because the hatchling ate the insects, so now it's just focused on Rodan now. But I think Rodan is a good of the Godzilla collection to watch. That's another good one. This is the English version though, which I'm not the biggest fan of the English version. I want to get this on the Japanese on the original Japanese version. And it's on for 72 minutes, so it's not that long of a movie. After the pacing was fine for only 72 minutes. The effects, like I said, are very good for back in the day. Practical models and miniatures. Yeah, I know. Like I said before, you can see the cables, stuff make where Rodan is flying. Yeah, people, I would do understand. Oh, they could have just digitally taken them out though, but it's something that you can see from these old fashioned monster movies, and yeah, of course, it's not like today where everything is CG, so you don't have to worry about those. But it's appreciable what they did back in the day, trying to put hard work into them. So yeah, and the locations for a good part of the movies, whereas under these underground mines, kind of gives me the feel like Stephen King's Graveyard Shift in sort of in a way. And at first, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, where's Rodan? But focusing on more on these giant insects, though. But it was slowly building up to it. So, and the insects I thought were well done for the practical effects as well. And Rodan, I like, and especially, although one kind of confused me because there were two of these Rodans, and the Rodan you would see that would help with Godzilla. That's a little confusing part because these are like the shows like only two Rodans and they die, but the other Rodan that we know that helps with Godzilla and such, I assume he's like a third one that like hatched somewhere that where nobody knew about. But I don't know about that. So, but yeah, I guess if you're wondering why I'm wearing this blanket because I'm cold. It's been really cold recently, so I like to keep warm because I don't like the cold. So if you're wondering, this is why I'm wearing this blanket, because it's been real cold late at night recently, and I don't like the cold, so I always want to try to stay warm. So, but yeah, Rodan, it's another good one, a good one entry in the Godzilla franchise. One day I want to do all the reviews, but I just want to give this like a solo one, because this one does not feature Godzilla, and plus, ironically, it's released in 1956, so marking the 60th anniversary for this. So that was not intentional. So, but I do want to continue like reviewing stuff for 1996 and even stuff from 1986, because that's 30 years. So, but Rodan, if anyone's not seen Rodan or any of the other Godzilla films, this one I would say is worth a look. It's a slow build up though, but in the end, it's worth a watch. Good effects. I would say it's a good another good giant monster movie. So that's my little thoughts on Rodan. I will give it a thumbs up. But I wanted to get this on the original Japanese version as well. Because, so like I said before, a lot of these on these English dubbings is not all that great. So yeah. But that's my review on Rodan. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned on the next movie review. Later.